Well, China is angry with U.S. lawmakers showing support for Taiwan. They said it in a letter. The Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. sent a letter to Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jake Okonklos. In that letter, Beijing reportedly expressed serious concern, their words, about Congressman Okonklos' recent trip to Taiwan. Okonklos was part of a bipartisan congressional delegation that last week went to the self-governing island. The Chinese embassy sent the letter to Okonklos on Friday, and yesterday in a tweet, the congressman said in response, quote, "They are angry. I don't care. We're going to stand with freedom and democracy wherever it is in the world, in Ukraine, in Taiwan, and on the streets of Tehran. We can't flinch just because the CCP is angry." One of the lawmakers who's part of last week's trip to Taiwan is Texas Republican Congressman Tony Gonzales. He joins me. Good evening, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Congressman, I've never been to Taiwan, and every time I go someplace, something strikes me that I didn't know before. Going to Taiwan, what struck you that the rest of us haven't seen?
I've been to Taiwan twice in the last 14 months, and while I was in Taiwan, I'm Catholic, and it was Ash Wednesday. So one of the things that I asked for is like, hey, can I go to church for Ash Wednesday? And I did. And what was amazing is here I am at a Catholic church in Taipei, Taiwan, and there were hundreds of Taiwanese expressing their freedom of religion. That's the difference between a free Taiwan and a communist China, is the freedoms. And there I was. I've listened to Mass in English and Spanish and Latin and all these different languages, and I got an opportunity to listen to it in Mandarin Chinese. Didn't understand anything, but you could feel the Holy Spirit while you were there.
Okay, all right. Obviously, it's pretty plain that tension between the U.S. and China is pretty tense right now. And China was, my word, enraged when former Speaker of the House Pelosi went to Taiwan last August. It's like poking a stick in their eyes. They are angry that you went with your delegation. So what do you think you achieved by poking the stick in the eye of the Chinese by going?
Yeah, first off, a sternly written letter from the Communist Chinese isn't worth the paper it's written on. In my eyes, I spent 20 years in the military. I spent 5 years at war in Iraq and Afghanistan. I know what war looks like. We're at war. We're at war with China. Every single day, China is attacking the United States and our allies, like Taiwan, in the cyberspace. This is already happening. They want to make it blame the United States and lawmakers going down. The reality is China is the aggressor. There's a difference between Ukraine and Taiwan. Russia wants to destroy Ukraine. China wants to gobble up Taiwan whole, just like they did with Hong Kong. We have to believe these dictators when they say they're going to do something. It's time for the United States to stand firmly with our allies.
Do you expect that if they do invade Taiwan, and there have been all sorts of estimates, one I think is 2027, which seems like, light years away, but that rapidly approaches. Do you think that the U.S. is going to have, would you recommend the U.S. have boots on the ground and fight? Or are you talking about, just supporting Taiwan?
I want to prevent a war. Going back to, I've been in 2 wars. Wars are terrible. They're terrible for the United States. They're terrible for the world. I want to prevent a war. Now's the time for lawmakers in a bipartisan manner to go and make sure that we stand firm with our allies. It was a mistake that the Biden administration did. They showed a weakness, and that allowed Russia to invade Ukraine. We can't show the same weakness in the Pacific. We have to stand firmly with Taiwan. Now, if China is to be the aggressor, we absolutely.
Are we provoking China with the Taiwan instead of asking them to come to the table and talk about so many global issues that are facing both nations and have raised the tension?
I would love for China to come to the table, and I think there's a lot of things that we have in common. I don't want to provoke them. I don't think it's a good idea for us to provoke them. But at the same time, the United States will bow to no one. China has to realize that we're not going to allow them to bully their neighbors, especially an island like Taiwan that is free. It's a democracy. It's a beacon of hope in the Pacific.
Congressman Tony Gonzales, thank you, sir.